Hello everyone, today is January 25th and it's our book club meeting on the recall of the book Pride and Prejudice. And I'm joined with Lauren, Talia, Mackenzie, Maya, Karen's on the way, Corey's coming after practice. Yeah, so everybody, what were your thoughts on the book? Lauren, you go first.
Okay. The beginning was like calm at first, and then things just started to go downhill. I really just wanted the best for Jane, because Jane was my girl.
Oh.
Mr. Darcy kind of pissed me off, but things were getting better, and then things were just, I don't know. Maybe it's just men.
It was just me.
Real.
Low-key.
Mackenzie or Maya, whoever wants to go, you guys can go now.
I guess I can go. I feel like the beginning of the book, yes, it added to the story, but learning all of their names, that I was like, who are these people for half of the book? I'm like, I don't really care. It's slow. I don't understand the language. But around page 200, it picks up. But it was still confusing to me, so it wasn't the best,
Okay, Maya, you can go.
I feel like I like the way the characters are written. I know it's a lot, but I like how they develop who each person is, because then it kind of contributes to how they interact with each other. But I do feel like it was just a lot, and also Mr. Darcy, he's something. He's definitely something.
Mm-hmm. I would like to say that I kind of focus a little bit too much on background characters. They weren't background characters because everybody had their role. But the cousin, when he came,
right.
That whole section when the cousin came, I was just aggravated. Man, that was what I was thinking, because I was listening to the audiobook while following along the pages, and every time it was his turn to talk, I was wondering why he was talking. He just never had anything going for him. And I like Mr. Darcy. I really like him. Yeah. Yeah. That's all I gotta say.
I like him at the end.
Towards the end, in the beginning, I kind of liked the little sneak dissing type of thing going on there.
Yeah,
that's a trope that I love.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, Mr. Bingley, I don't know about his friend too much.
His sisters kind of pissed me off.
I did not like his sisters at all.
Yeah.
I think they were so rude and unjust. They were just, I don't know. Weren't they engaged or something?
One of them was. I think the other one was single. So.
One of them was fully married.
I was saying they were all with somebody, but it felt like they were so into Mr. Darcy. They didn't want Elizabeth with him so bad. Why are you hating?
I feel like his sisters were they made it Pride and Prejudice. They actually were
they were the pride.
They were
in the Pride and Prejudice. Let's talk about Miss Bennet. Okay, guys, I'm gonna show you all this. I made a little chart, and on the board I said "did not like," because let's talk about how I did not like. Okay, this is the board.
That's cute.
I'm not done with it, but let's talk about how I did not like Miss Bennet. How I hated that lady. She was a character. They said that she wasn't competent in a way. She wasn't smart enough, but she was just talking.
She's kind of bossy.
Yes, and she was trying to make Elizabeth marry their cousin, and I was not there for it.
No.
I was so upset, and he had nothing going for him. He had no character. He was a clergyman. That's his own definition. That's all he was.
Bro, when she left her Jane at the house, I'm like, just send the girl to carriage. Bro.
And they were begging, hey guys, can we go home? No, you're gonna stay until the end of the week because I want you to.
Yeah, she was so controlling.
Crazy.
I don't know, and a lot of the time she doesn't we all know that she didn't understand how a lot of the things work because she wasn't smart, educated enough. But she was just talking so much for someone that doesn't know that much about society and everything. Do you think it's worth the hype? That is the question of the day.
I feel like it's only hyped up because of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was worth the hype. I thought I was going to get thrown into it and it was going to be super good from the beginning.
Yeah.
I was confused the whole first volume until like chapter 12.
That's like the hardest book I've ever had to like try to force myself to read.
Mm-hmm. I was confused for a lot. I didn't know who was talking, who was who.
Yeah.
I was confused. But I liked, maybe I'll give it another go and annotate and then I'll understand a little bit better.
I kept having Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for like the time where it was made, like I feel like it could be. I see where like the hype is because like writing a good book or like during that time or like writing like enemies to lovers or whatever it's like that's tea. Like you ate like
They ate that gossip up.
Yeah, she definitely like if it wasn't such a common trope now, I feel like I would appreciate it more.
Yeah, that's a good take. I like that.
But now I'm looking at it, I'm just like I had to read a letter for like 5 pages. Like
Bro, that letter was super long. There was a couple of letters in this book.
I like the idea of the book though, like the whole process of writing it and stuff.
Oh,
I like the perspective that they had on like the society life, like how the Bennets weren't really okay. The whole concept of the sisters saying that the Bennets were like poor and everything.
Yeah.
I like that kind of like being brought out because you see like the hierarchical society concept. Like,
And how like none of the daughters could inherit like Mr. Bennett stuff.
And yeah,
that was kind of stupid.
Yeah,
like
how the cousin had to
Yeah, it was definitely.
Add him. What was his name again?
Girl.
Mr. Connor?
Collins. I think like you know how like the Bennets were kind of different than everybody else. Like they literally like all of their personalities were like most of their personalities were like outspoken, and I feel like that was different for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like the only reserved one was really Jane, and so I think that really showed like they were different people compared to the rest of society.
Yeah, they all had their own opinions.
Yeah.
And they weren't afraid to speak their mind. Like when Elizabeth was talking to Mr. Wiggum or whatever his name is about not liking Mr. Darcy and everything. Like nobody was scared to say what they wanted to say.
Yeah, I think Elizabeth, that's why Mr. Bennett liked Elizabeth so much, was just like she was so willing to just...
The favoritism, let's talk about it.
No, actually, like, he loved that girl.
He don't care about no other kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, you have 4 other daughters.
But Miss Bennett, you gotta think about it, Miss Bennett hated her. Like, I feel like he had to love Elizabeth more because she wouldn't have gotten any attention if he would have just sat behind. Because Miss Bennett loved Jane, and she was okay with the younger ones. But when it came to Elizabeth, she just had no care towards her.
Did she really love Jane after letting Jane?
Was
was it really love? Or did she just want to get her out?
Let's talk about it. Was it greed or was it love? That should be the concept of the book.
Yeah, and I thought Mr. Bennett was funny. Like when he would like
He was
speak.
hilarious.
Yeah, I thought he was so funny. Like I'm cracking up. I'm like, yes, leave Miss Bennett. Like leave her. Like.
Bro, I was laughing, and when he like gave the ultimatum, he was like, never talk to your mom or never talk to me. I started giggling, y'all.
Exactly.
I was excited. I was like, I love him.
Yeah, he was so supportive of her. Like that's so cute.
Did y'all really like? Okay, I'm not gonna lie. What was Mr. Darcy's sister like? Anybody can say that? What'd you say, Mackenzie?
Wait, what did you say? Yeah, ask your question again.
Mr. Darcy's sister. Like, any ideas on her? Did you like?
I kind of really focused on the thing with Mr. Wickham.
Mm-hmm.
That's disgusting. That's so messed up and twisted and weird. Like, so sad.
I did not like Mr. Wickham.
Who did you like in the book?
Huh? Who did I like? I didn't like him for a little bit. Like when he was first being introduced, like when he was first talking to Elizabeth, you could just tell that he was using her. Like he was in there for his own benefit, and he was talking all bad about Mr. Darcy and like. I don't know. The whole concept of that, I didn't like. I liked Elizabeth. I like Jane. I like Mr. Darcy-ish. Sometimes I like him. I like Mr. Bennett. I love Mr. Bennett.
We know, girl. We know.
He was hilarious. Not like that, guys. He was just hilarious. He was like supportive. He was like the background character that everybody loved.
Honestly, Mrs. Bennet kind of reminded me of Mr. Wickham. Like, they had kind of...
The greediness.
Yeah.
They both were in there for the money.
They were very parallel characters. They were just alike.
It was like a different perspective, like gender-wise, of greed in a person and like wanting a higher rank, all that type of stuff.
I think you can tell Mr. Bennet didn't have that after Mr. Wickham was introduced into the story. But also, do you think if Mr. Bennet hadn't loved Elizabeth so much, like, Mrs. Bennet would have been nicer to her? Or do you think it was just like...
I don't know. Because the way I see it is, if Mr. Bennet didn't pay attention to Elizabeth, she wouldn't have had attention at all. From, like, the way it is now. But maybe if, like, when they were, like little, like, if Mr. Bennet didn't, like, take to Elizabeth as much as she did, it probably would have been different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But out of all the kids, I feel like Elizabeth would have been left out if Mr. Bennet didn't take like her, or like didn't pay so much mind to her. Let's talk about favoritism. Seems to be a key concept. How do we see it? Like, how does the portrayal of favoritism in that day and age? How do we like perceive it from the perspective that we're in now? Hey, Carrington.
Sorry, I'm walking to the library.
Girl. Did you hear? Does anybody have a response to my question? I think it was kind of a good question. I kind of ate it with that. I'm not gonna lie.
Favorite
Let me think. Hold on.
Yeah. Wait, say it again.
Oh.
Like it's a lot of themes of favoritism. Like what is your take on that? Like,
I said like how like in the family trope of like the Bennets, how the favoritism that Jane Austen portrayed favoritism in a family from that time period, how does it kind of correlate to now, or like any type of correlation to now, or like how do y'all just see the favoritism show? I guess.
I definitely think it's like different than like family dynamics now, like because like having a favorite or like having like being someone's favorite, it's like you're not supposed to have favorites as a parent or as a as a sibling. You're supposed to like love everybody equally. But I like how Mr. Bennet like showed favoritism to Elizabeth. I feel like more people should like at least show respect or like show like extra love sometimes. Because some people like, especially with Elizabeth being so different from her sisters and like not being focused on men as much and like yeah. So I think it's appreciated, you know.
Yeah. Maya, you have anything to add?
I feel like with favoritism within the book, I feel like it also affects like getting married and like being regarded in like the bigger society. Because I feel like now, if you have a favorite, it's not going to prevent your other non-favorites from like getting married and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, so like you're saying like in that time, favoritism really helped the daughter in like the whole wedding aspect. That?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Well, I don't know, because like I would agree with you, but just the way Jane was treated by Mrs. Bennet, who was trying to get her to get married to Mr. Bennet.
I just think Mrs. Bennet as a person just is on the side.
Maybe it was different. Just like maybe
because
it's just
of like
Mrs.
who
Bennet.
she was. She was just such a greedy person.
Yeah.
That's all I see. All I saw like was greed. Like she just wanted a higher rank for her. I understand that aspect of like wanting more for your daughters, wanting them to be in a better place so they can have a nice life and everything like that. But she was just so greedy. Like it was ridiculous at sometimes. Like the extent she would go to get her daughter married, as to even trying to force and never talk to one of them again. Like marriage. Segue. How do we see marriage? Let's relate it to marriage now. So, anybody? You got a question for that? You got a way to make it a question out of that?
What, like marriage?
Marriage. Anybody? Question anybody? Make a question about marriage. I don't know. The concept. Wait. How's the concept of marriage different? Because like they hold marriage as such a high standard compared to now. Like, how would you say marriage is weighed on that scale from then to now, as like in the picture in the book.
I don't know if Mr. and Mrs. Bennett loved each other. I feel like they were very much.
It gave a range.
Yeah, it really did feel like their
really
marriage
gave
was
a
arranged, and I feel like that's what like the daughters were kind of looking at to like stay away from. Like that's why Elizabeth was so not. She didn't want Jane to just jump into living with Mr. Bingley.
Yeah,
because like she saw how
their parents were.
Yeah,
I think that's a good concept because they didn't really give that they loved each other. Like, he gave that he was over the marriage once it happened. She was just there to live off of him and like better herself. And each daughter had their own perspective on marriage. Some of them, like the younger two, they kind of just wanted to get married so bad.
Yeah,
because they were everywhere. They were at the little government thing. Like they just wanted to get married so bad. And there's Elizabeth who held marriage at like a lower standard than most. Any thoughts on his sisters?
Mr. Bingley's?
Yeah.
Weren't those the mean ones?
Yes.
They're mean. And like, I don't know, this book just deals with a lot of like hierarchies, I feel. Like, what is it? Like social hierarchies or whatever. So people are obviously going to feel more entitled than others and use that against people. So that's the best way to explain them. What about, who's that man? The soldier man.
When the Mr. Wing, him? I put him on greedy people. I said he
Greedy?
was greedy. That's what I put it.
I mean, when you got debt, you gotta be a little greedy.
Didn't he marry Lydia?
Yeah. Did. Y'all already did the questions, right?
We asked a question about favoritism. How does favoritism, like the aspect of favoritism and family concepts, correlate to today? Like, you could see it was more intense back then, but like in comparison to today. What is your like? You have anything to say add on to that about favoritism? Okay. We talked about marriage. We talked about how they see marriage, how they perceive marriage as high, like everybody strives for marriage.
Yeah.
And then relating it back today. We just relate a lot of the questions back to.
I mean, my thing would be with marriage. Back then, that was a transactional thing. Like, their forefront thing was not love. Like, that's not what was important. It was keeping the family afloat. Like, keeping the name is really important in marriage. And money. And, I mean, that's important today. Like, you need money in marriage. But what's more important that you see with marriage now is people get married out of love, out of security. And, yeah, that's the biggest difference.
Also, we also asked a question. There was another question. What was it? We asked a question about money.
Yeah, we talked about greed.
Yeah, we talked about greed.
But I don't think we had like a specific question for that.
We had a question about marriage. We had a question about family dynamic. Family dynamics.
Like the different family dynamics.
Yeah.
We did talk about that. Did we have a question for that?
It was like the favoritism type of question, but we can like do more than just favoritism, like how the sisters interacted with one another, how the mother treated, just the family dynamic. Let's explain.
How does their Pride and Prejudice affect their
Get out. You.
I said that the sisters put Pride and Prejudice.
They put Pride and Prejudice. How social classes are portrayed in the book.
We talked about that. Yes, we talked about that. Well, if you want to, you can add on to it.
I mean,
we talked about like the two sisters.
Oh, wait, I have a question.
Yes, Maya.
Yes, Maya.
Okay, so like, no, wait, I just had it. Do you think there were some benefits to being a woman back then? And then what were those? And then what were the benefits to being a man back then?
Oh.
And then also for the men, give like a non-benefit. I feel like the men definitely benefited, but there has to be something they didn't benefit from.
Right.
Like a disadvantage.
A lot.
I have an answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Disadvantages and advantages of women. First off, this can be taken both ways, but like women, how do I put this? They weren't expected of much except to get married, bear children, whatever. I mean, if that's what you wanted, like, life was low-key kind of easy back then. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, if you like, but if you wanted to strive for more, like, it would be frowned upon. And the same kind of goes for men. Like, if you wanted more than just marriage and family, like, it would be a little bit harder. But if you cool with just, like, getting married, chilling, going to the army or something, like, you're good. Especially if you're in a higher class. Like, life was automatically just a little bit easier for you.
Yeah, but if you were, like, in a lower class trying to get married to a higher class, you'd be...
Yeah, because it's different. Because lower class doesn't have the education or anything that a higher class would.
Yeah.
What time period is this book? Like 18?
Victorian? It's like Victorian.
Yeah. I was trying to, like, specific years to, like, tie into...
Maybe 1700s, late 1700s.
1700s, I think.
Let me look it up real quick.
Yes, thank you, Carrington.
I said it was it's like 1797 to 1815. So yeah, like late 18th century to early 19th.
Okay. Thank you, Maya.
Uh-huh.
Is that Mackenzie?
One of the things, she said like a benefit and like a non-benefit of being a man or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think I would say the same thing we said, like upper class, it's easy to get married or whatever. But like going from someone who has status, imagine being like looked upon by all these women all the time, or like being hands with everything you do. Like they were so quick to like make assumptions about Mr. Darcy because he wanted to dance. Like, okay, like she want me though. Like it's not like I don't want to dance tonight. Like I don't know y'all. Like y'all are random. Like, I don't want to dance with y'all. Like that's cool. But like in society now, that's cool. But back then, these people are knocking on my door every day trying to get a daughter married, like trying to ship her off to me. Like that's so weird.
Right.
That's not a really good point, actually.
I also would like to add that for men, an advantage for men, I feel like they have more freedom. Yeah. They could do more. It wasn't frowned upon if they wanted to go further in their education in like London or something like that. Go to England, do college, travel around the world. It's just that by the time they came back, they would be ready to settle down. For women, once they turned the right age of like 12, they had to be ready to make babies, get married. And once you were, like, say your husband died, once he was dead, you going back home.
Right.
You ain't getting no type of entitlement to your house unless you're like up there. Like that's just a little benefit disadvantage thing for me,
especially with the women. They had no control over like finances or just in general, like because divorce wasn't a thing, and if anything the man would leave the woman, so it wouldn't even be like a woman's choice for him.
Right.
Or if you just didn't get married, you know, like
you would be
you'd be frowned upon.
Right. So women, like, men had more leisure, but women had much more expectations. Like, do you know, like, the common thing about like premarital sex? Like back then, men could get away with going to them brothels and what. But women, like, they would check, like, physically check you to make sure nothing was changed, and if it was, like, you're not getting married at all. Like if you're
pure, then like you're
it's so much more that women had to bring to the table than men, and then when they were finally there, you can't do anything. Like it's just.
Like, now you're married and now you're locked in.
Right.
And then you get, like, publicly bashed in the newspapers. Like, your name's around. They're calling you this W word, this H word. Like, they're telling you everything.
Right.
And Kirsten, you wasn't here for this, but, like, is it worth the hype? That's the big question. Is it worth the hype? The book.
I think it's a good, like, classic literature. Like, it's good to have when dealing with these big topics of, like the social hierarchies and how it was back then compared to now. I mean, it also depends on what type of books you like. This is a lot more classical writing. Like, if you like more like White Past Mud, like you're not gonna like this as much. But I think it's a nice book.
To be honest, I don't think it's worth the hype, but I think it is good because it reflects on a lot of like how in that time those were the norms and that's how they lived, and it's good for that time. Now I wouldn't go out my way to reread it or anything.
I feel like certain like do you know the list of classical books that they have that you should read? Like I feel like this is one of the few that if you were to read some, this would be the one that you would read. But
I said for that time it was a book. It was ahead of its time.
Yeah,
I think it's ahead of its time, but now it's behind time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the different time periods. Then it probably was the biggest gossip thing that you could ever think of. But now it's a little bit behind. Everybody's more advanced, and there's more it's not held. I think it's held at a very high standard.
But you can
shouldn't be held at that standard.
You can see how Jane Austen isn't exemplifying these behaviors. She's kind of mocking them, like how women should have to be a certain way in order to present good for a man to be in marriage. So I mean, her way of thinking can be said it was too modern for the time, but I wouldn't say she was for the practices of the time.
Definitely the way she describes the balls and how the women or the mothers trying to get Mr. Bingley and everything. I think that was definitely mocking that time period.
Definitely. Yeah.
Or just the social events. In that time period.
I mean, you can see that through how she portrays the characters. Elizabeth, that girl was not for it. Period.
Mrs. Bennet, I think she was really trying to get something across.
Okay, guys. Are we done here?
Oh yeah. Oh.
Guys. So we all know that last time we made a vote, it came out in a tie. For the likes of Sage Higgins and everybody else that voted for the other book, that voted for the other book, that will be our book for February. It's a short book. It's not like this. So it'd be something that we can get done with, and then we'll do one of these, and then we'll start something else. From then, we can vote on anything else. I got some other book suggestions that's coming up, but the book for February will be The Sun is Also a Star. I'll post the links on Amazon to the book and everything, and I think from now on, the new meeting days should be the fourth Saturday or fourth weekend of each month. So fourth Saturday. Is that good?
The last weekend of every month.
The last weekend of every month. Maybe we can do a Saturday morning or a Friday night, whichever day's better. But I think it should be in the last week of each month. Okay. How do you guys think? What do you think about that?
Girl,
Maya, Mackenzie, you gotta.
Why is it flipped like this?
I agree.
Because my camera's right here.
Ladies, this is the.
Carrington, post a link. Just post a link. Well, yes, meetings from now on will be in the last weekend of every month. I will post that in the group chat. And we will get the Instagram started immediately after this. So thank you for being at my meeting today. This concludes the meeting for January 25th on Pride and Prejudice. That is a wrap on the book, and this will be posted in the group chat. Thank you. Bye, guys.